My name is Fred Babaee. I am a partner in chair at the IAMCP SoCal, and I do this sort of podcast. This is actually our number 8 podcast. We've done 7 already this year. We may do one more, and that's it. It's been really successful for us in terms of connecting partners together, is asking some questions and things like that. My business is a B2B sales accelerator. I basically provide consulting services through strategic planning, business development, sales, marketing, go-to-market type strategy. So what I do, I sort of look into clients who are looking to expand and grow their business. And ultimately, the goal is to provide some sort of an exit strategy for them, or provide some sort of a training in terms of how do you get there? How do you actually grow your business so you can exit, so you can have a successful exit? That's what I do. And I've been doing that for almost 10 years after I sold my own business, which was on a PC manufacturing, which I had for over 25 years. So thank you, Jason. Craig, I would like for you, Jason, to introduce yourself, and then we go to Craig.
Why does Jason get to go first?
Because gotta save the best for last, I guess.
He was right to my
Age before beauty. Okay, go ahead.
What's that?
So wow, I have more gray hair than last time I saw you. Okay, sorry.
So I'm Jason Makevich. I'm the founder and CEO of Greenlight Cyber. Been an IAMCP member for I think 5 years now. I'm also the founder and CEO of Port One, a company I started Greenlight Cyber 15 years ago, and I started Port One less than a year ago, almost a year now. And both companies are all around the world of MSPs and cybersecurity. At Greenlight, we are an MSP, a cybersecurity first MSP. We don't typically call ourselves an MSSP because we can provide traditional MSP services, but what's unique about Greenlight Cyber is most MSPs seem to offer IT and add-on security as optional, kind of, good to have. Where we're now in the inverse of that, and have been for a couple of years now, where probably about 40% of our clients are just security. We don't do IT work, and that's growing, and we expect that to get closer to 90% at some point. And then we basically have, at this point, some clients that'll do both, but we don't have any clients that are just IT anymore. And we lead with cybersecurity. IT is really just kind of more of the add-on for us, where we can provide, various co-managed and fully managed IT services. But our primary core business is managed cybersecurity for SMBs. And then at Port One, we actually support MSPs, and we do so by helping MSPs with their cybersecurity program. Particularly around a couple of very cool enterprise-grade cybersecurity solutions that we make very MSP friendly. So otherwise, it'd be kind of out of reach for most MSPs. We're building an MSP channel for enterprise cybersecurity vendors to bring those solutions with a lot of enablement to MSPs and help them succeed with those solutions. So those are my businesses and a bit about my background.
Great. Thank you, Jason. And I hear you've been in the technology field ever since you were born, because your father was in the same space.
That's right. So 89 years now.
You look pretty good.
It feels like I did grow up with computers, and I was building 286 computers back in early 90s, and doing that for my dad's business, among other things, making network cables, running network cables in offices, all through my teenage years.
Yeah.
And before I exited my teenage years, I became a Novell certified Novell engineer.
Yeah.
Which also dates me a bit.
I was going to say, I've never heard of that. What's
right? Yeah, Google it.
I do have that. I do have CNEs. I mean, certified network engineer also myself.
Oh, wow. That's great.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah, back in the 90s. Yeah.
Yep.
And we also used to make serial cable for serial printers, if you remember those days.
Sure,
Oh,
of course.
yeah. And it was either a 9-pin or a 24-pin, right? Something
That's
like that.
right,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hated those.
Yeah.
Yeah, the serial would have been probably DB9, right? RS-232. Yep.
That's right.
I do remember. Very cool. Well, yeah.
Good.
Yep.
Craig, go ahead, please, and introduce yourself.
So I'm not nearly as old as Jason, but
What?
so my name, what?
Or as
Craig
old as
Zimmerman.
me.
I'm Chief Operating Officer for Big Cloud Consultants. We're based in Asheville, North Carolina since 2016. And so we focus mostly Microsoft. We're a definite Microsoft shop, modern work, but our real push is in SharePoint and process automation. So how do we take what you're doing and make it better, make you more efficient between using AI and whatever process automation we can set up to make some of those tasks that you repeat on an ongoing basis so that you don't have to repeat them and the automation part does.
Excellent.
So,
Good. Good.
And then Jason and I know each other, and we do a whole bunch of work together where it's worked out very nicely, where we've had some joint clients back and forth that he's brought or I've brought to him. And then part of that has also been just us really keeping in touch and sharing business strategy and what we're seeing in the marketplace and things like that.
Excellent. Thank you, Craig. I love Asheville. In fact, we used to go to Biltmore House when we were in Columbia, South Carolina. So
okay. Yep. So we're about 25 minutes from the Biltmore.
Yeah, beautiful place.
Yeah.
Beautiful
Yeah,
place.
it's gorgeous.
Yeah. So how did you guys meet? Jason and Craig, how did you guys meet, and what did IAMCP have to do with this sort of you guys getting you connected? Was it that, or was it you previously had connections where you met each other?
Yeah, we technically met through IAMCP through a mutual colleague that was a member. Kind of got, I think Craig was already in IAMCP, and I think that's how I ended up learning. One of the ways I learned about IAMCP and eventually joined. And it just so happened that at the time we needed some SharePoint help, if memory serves. So we were able to connect with Craig and his team, and they were awesome. They just knocked it out of the park. We finally had a partner we could lean on for all those things that we didn't have the expertise with, right? And so it just clicked very quickly. And Craig and I, ended up becoming fast friends, I think, in the process.
At least we let Jason think that. No, it's all good. I mean, that's exactly it. And there are some things that we do that do cross over, and there are a lot of things that don't. And we are very careful not to step on each other's toes. Like, we've had the conversation of, this is what I do and this is what you do, and where the things cross over, we've kind of made a decision of, okay, well, if you brought the client in, then you'll deal with this stuff, and if we're not sure, we just discuss it.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah. So what brought you to IAMCP? Did you know about IAMCP before, and how did you sort of became a member of IAMCP?
So I became a member because I was looking for a group. I figured there had to be a business group of Microsoft partners, because Microsoft doesn't make this easy, right? And so as I was thinking about it, I'm like, there's a trade group for all these other businesses. And before this, I was in radio, and we had a trade group. And so I was like, there's got to be a trade group for Microsoft partners. And I wound up Googling it. And after a couple different searches, I found IAMCP. And it turned out that the Carolinas had a chapter that had kind of gone defunct, and they were starting it up again. And the gentleman who was going to be president asked me to be on the board with him. I said, sure. And then he got a new job and had non-compete. And he was like, great, here's the chapter, go. I was like, okay. But then we kind of found our way, and, you know, we became a viable chapter, and we became, I think, what is now a really good, strong group that keeps growing of local Microsoft partners.
Good. How about you, Jason?
Yeah, so I learned about it, and Craig, I think, had been a member for a while, when I first learned about IAMCP, and I was talking to some folks that I knew and asking for, you know, a partner that could help us with a particular specialty. And then that kind of came up in that context of, well, hey, I'm, you know, someone we knew that, hey, I'm part of this group, IAMCP. I hadn't heard of IAMCP. And then after that, I was in a different group that was just a general business professional services networking group that Manish Bhartia was in. And so I got to know Manish, and he was, I think, just becoming chapter president in SoCal, and at that time, or he's about to become. And that's when he introduced me to, you know, brought me in, and I actually joined the SoCal group. The original draw for me was, to Craig's point, like, navigating the Microsoft partnership can be difficult, and seeing, you know, learning about how, okay, thinking that IAMCP is all about Microsoft made me think, okay, well, this could be something that we could use at times. And what I learned was it isn't just about Microsoft. It's about a community of practice, a community of professionals, many of which do a lot of the same things, but a lot of different things. And having that network that is so reachable. I mean, I know I could get anybody in IAMCP, I could get on the phone in a moment. It's that easy. You know, you're not 6 degrees of separation, you at most 1, right? And it's that kind of community, and it's so easy to connect with people and to get to work with people. And then there's this code of ethics that exists, and the culture of IAMCP in such a way where, you know, you don't have to worry about the competition factor and all that, because it's all, you know, it's all set up for success in partnering. So I see IAMCP as one of the best partner communities out there when it comes to actual P2P, real partner to partner engagement. So that's what has kept me at IAMCP, even if I stopped working with Microsoft, which I didn't, you know, but if we did hypothetically, I'd still be a member, because it would still be of tremendous value to be part of the community.
I mean, you hit it right on the nail, Jason, in terms of getting connected
I
to
win.
anyone you want.
And I'm out.
Nailed it.
Anyone you want, you just pick up the phone, and even if they are busy, they answer and say, "Hey, I'll call you right back. I'm doing something."
Yeah.
So that's how important this sort of relationship is.
And to follow that up, I will say so we've started to switch to vendors that do that also, right? Because the vendors that you send an email to and you don't hear back from is not okay. I mean, we're paying them. And so, you know, the vendors that we now are our preferred vendors, and the ones we're doing business with and continue to do business with, are actual partners like this, where, you know, you can pick up the phone and get them on the phone and get them to update something when something has to be fixed.
Exactly. Yeah. So my next question is, you know, we know, we've been in the business long enough to know that there is, in every opportunity, every collaboration, there are some challenges. What were some of the challenges you faced in terms of doing business together, providing that service to a client?
Well, so, I mean, I will say that we are just naturally hesitant, right? And I think Jason is too. I don't want to speak for him, but I think, you know, we don't like, as a company and as an individual, I don't like things I can't control. right? And so when you deal with partners, a lot of times, if they're talking directly to your clients or they're involved in the process, you don't necessarily have control over that, and you can worry about it. Right. I felt that with Jason in our relationship, that's not something I have to worry about. Right. I would never, we have joint clients where Jason has been on the phone with them or I've been on the phone with them, and we have each other's best interest in mind as well.
Yeah.
And so that's something that, for us has been fantastic, I would say.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think, some of the challenges that we face in our fields are, I think the pros and cons of it all are based around relationships and partnerships, right? And sometimes, we have to deal with folks either in the supply chain or maybe across more of a referral partner or partner to partner engagement or something like that, where you can run into all sorts of issues. But I definitely, specifically with our partnership with Big Cloud and with Craig and his team, I can't say we've ever really had a challenge. I think everything's just been an opportunity to just learn how to navigate that together. But it's about working with the people that that you like and that you trust. And if you don't fit all of those things, if you can't tick all those boxes really confidently, it's not going to be a good partnership. Not until you can, right? With Craig and I think, again, fast friends, I think it was very easy for us to click. We identified we've got the same value system, core values are there and aligned perfectly. Our competencies are very complementary. We don't have a ton of crossover. I mean, other than we're Microsoft partners and can sell you 365 licensing, I think that's most of the crossover probably. I mean, not a whole lot else. They're great at very specific things. They're more specialist, I would say, in certain areas, more so than we would ever be. I guess we are more specialist in the cybersecurity area, right? More than they would ever want to be. And so it just is, it just works out really well because we want to see each other succeed. And, I've never hesitated handing referrals over to Craig. I would never expect anything in return, but I know at the end of the day, he does the same for me. And it's that kind of relationship that we value a lot. And I get to have that with, only so many folks. I mean, we work with a lot of people, a lot of partners, a lot of companies, a lot of folks. And there are some that really stand out. And when I think of, who my best partners are, and I think it was Brian that mentioned this podcast and said, hey, maybe you could come on and do this. Who would you want to have come in and talk about partnership? And I immediately said Craig, right? Because I know at the end of the day,
that I would do it as soon as Jason said, you have to do this.
Right.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Craig was voluntold for this. So yeah.
But I came out to California and we talked about partnering, for a presentation because, it works well for us. And I think there are two other points I'll make, especially in the Microsoft world, clients think you can do it all, right? So clients think, oh, well, Microsoft, so you'll handle Dynamics and you'll handle SharePoint. They're very different products. And Dynamics CRM is very different than BC, right? So those are places where I bring in partners because that's not our focus. But I want vetted partners that I've dealt with and I know what the relationship is like and whether there's a financial interest there or not, depending on the deal. I want people that I know I can trust. And we've run into a couple situations where it hasn't gone as well as we would have liked.
You and I both together have run into situations with others. So yeah.
Yeah. And my theory is when I talk to other partners about helping them or working with them, you can only steal a client or you can only be an ass to a partner once. Because
better make it good.
right. It better be worth it because you're not going to be able to do it again. And so now, when I look at our contracts, whether it's our employment agreements or it's our partner agreements, right, I can tell you each part that's in there where they came from. I can say, oh, that happened in, 2 years ago. So we added that to our contract.
Yeah.
But to be honest, Jason and I mean, we've worked so long together and we've worked so well together that I don't even know, we probably had a contract, but I mean, we
Probably
joke
did.
about this. I don't know where it is. Don't know
Yeah.
if it's signed or whatever.
We'll never need it.
Nope.
That I know.
Yep.
Yeah.
But
It's all-
but I will
yeah.
say one thing, sorry, I will say one thing to keep in mind, and I've seen this happen, is, if Jason or I left tomorrow, right, we would like to think that our folks would keep the spirit of the deal that we have. Right? If either of us were acquired, we can't guarantee that.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
Yeah.
that's something, and as that keeps happening more and more, that's just something that I think we all need to keep in mind.
And that's a huge value, because the trust you have between you and your partner, it is what the client sees. And once the clients see that trust, then they want to do business with you and continue to do business with you. It's really that trust factor that comes in place. So in terms of roles and responsibilities, what role did you guys each play on this sort of venture that you guys had together, each of you?
So I'm going to talk about the one in Atlanta. Jason, that a good one to focus on?
Great one.
So
Yep.
this is a client that I was brought into for their dynamic stuff, which again, we don't actually do. So I have a partner that does their dynamic stuff, and they're not an easy client. And it took a long time to earn their trust. I mean, a couple of years, and just to get their licensing business. We were getting little things, and then it took us probably 2 years to really earn their licensing business. And at that point, they needed a new MSP, because looking and talking to them about what their MSP was doing to them was a nightmare. I mean, it was not a good situation. And so I had called Jason and I said, hey, would you talk to this client? And they talked to the client once and nothing happened. The client liked him. Nothing happened. A year later, I talked to the client again, and the client said, hey, that guy you brought in, can we talk to him again?
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, absolutely. And so I brought Jason in again, and then he flew out there, and I met him in Atlanta at the client. So keep this in mind. He's all the way across the country, because Jason's in California. So it wasn't that far from me, but for him to be an MSP all the way across the country, that's how big my trust in Jason was, right? And so he came, we went to the client, and the client, Jason told him it was 6 figures worth of new equipment. And the client looked at me and said, really? And I said, yeah, whatever he's telling you, that's accurate. And with that, the client went, okay. But it took both of us to close that, because without, and there's no ego here, it's just the trust that I've gotten from the client, right? It's the relationship. So without him looking at me and going, is this right? He wouldn't have signed off on it. I mean, Jason and I know in this client, he would never have signed off on it. That, and if Jason wasn't the right guy, he wouldn't have signed off on it. Mm-hmm. And so it's things like that where it's know your audience. It's, know what the relationship needs and be able to bring in the right partner.
Yeah. Really well said.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess to speak to that was, how long ago was that, Craig? A couple of 2-3 years now?
2-3 years ago, maybe 3 at this point.
Yeah.
Right? And they've been good clients for both of us on an ongoing basis.
Just a fantastic client. And we went into that where, to be honest, that was one of those clients where Craig warned me, like, these guys are high maintenance, they have very high expectations, high standards, absolutely no BS. Like, be great and be on your game, because they're unforgiving until they become loyalists, and that's what happened with us. Because of the transitive trust through Craig, we earned their trust rapidly, and we've held their trust, and now they're very loyal, and they trust us implicitly. and we've just my team has done a phenomenal job of maintaining that.
I will get a random text from them periodically that just says Jason's great, or Jason's team is great, or it'll name one of Jason's employees and tell me how great they are.
That's cool.
To me, that's fantastic. I mean, that's,
Yeah.
there's no doubt it was the right relationship.
Yeah, in fact, that reminds me, I got an email a while ago from the president and CEO over there. This was May. Jason, it's been a while since we last spoke. Thought I'd drop in and say hello. Things are going great. My gosh, I can't believe we put up with the other company so freaking long. I knew while I was busy managing their messes that things were always supposed to be working the way things have been working with Greenlight. I always knew it. The Greenlight, the support and help desk has been great. I haven't had to listen to complaints about issues and support every week like I had to over the years with our previous providers. What a huge relief. In fact, I'm not aware of any issues with the help desk at all. Incredible. And he just goes on. And this is a guy that is one of the most high standards, high maintenance kind of great guy.
He does not send emails like that. I mean, I know the guy 5 years now, right? 4 years. He does not send emails like that.
Really incredible. To the point where we should probably fly back down to Atlanta one of these days, Craig.
Yep.
I should do that. Yeah.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is, and here's the type of client they are. When I went to meet them before Jason had even met them, I went to take them to lunch. And they were like, to them, it was like, why are you here to take us to lunch? And we went to it was like a Chipotle almost. And no, they spent enough money. We were going to take them to a really nice lunch. But nope, that was their preference. And that was fine.
Yeah. What a great story. In my years of doing business, the story sells, fact tells. You can tell about the specification of a product or services, but they know that. But when you tell them this story, like Jason just said in regards to what the CEO said about your services, 100% you're going to close the deal. When you tell a story about a fact that happened, and that's a real story.
Yeah.
That really gets into your heart.
Yeah, it does. I mean, this was, what an incredible.
That couldn't have worked out better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, that is one of our greatest success stories, I would say.
Mhm.
And we have others. We haven't actually, we haven't had any that didn't succeed, to be clear. Every time we work together, it's worked out well.
Yep.
But this is just one of those where, I don't think we could have scripted it any better.
Excellent.
Agreed. And you know what it was too? I mean, here we have a company that was remote to us. The question really was, are we going to be able to meet this client's standards halfway around, all the way across the country, right? Are we really going to be able to do that? We have no boots on the ground there whatsoever. What's cool is we actually have another partner in the equation. We brought him in after the fact, and we met him on site there when I was there local in Atlanta visiting the client, and built a good relationship with them. And so on the fairly rare occurrence that we actually need to send somebody, we have a partner down there that's local, an MSP, that does a really great job for us. And so, we can send people quickly. We don't have to get people on an airplane to go, plug a printer in, so it works out really nice. But to think that was a real concern, of course, I mean, they had a local company, and now they were struggling a lot with that local company, and then
they were getting screwed. I mean, honestly, they were just getting screwed.
It was bad. I mean, it was really bad, and getting out of that relationship was painful.
It was also bad.
Yeah. It was a bad exit by them, but to think that they here they're in all this pain with a local company, and now they're going to hire a company in California that's supposed to do a better job, and but that says a lot about the trust that Craig has in us, and the mutual trust we both have, because he knew that we'd be able to do it because I told him we could, and I knew that we could because my team told me we could. And that's what matters. If you can't trust your people, your partners, it doesn't, none of it, then it breaks, it falls apart, and your days are terrible. And the emails that you get from your clients are not like that, you know? And, you know, we've been there from time to time, but you learn as you go and you get good at this. And Craig and
We're
I
also
would be doing
upfront with
this
each
a long
other.
time.
But we are upfront with each other, because if Jason's team brings us something and it's not in our wheelhouse, right, then we will tell them, or vice versa. You know, we always, not always, but, you know, if we have an opportunity and it's not in our wheelhouse, I go to my partners first. I go to the people I like to work with first. And so, you know, Jason's always one of my first calls to go, hey, if we can't do this, like, I don't do a lot of G Suite stuff at all, right? He happens to do more G Suite. So I'll reach out to someone on his team and say, hey, we have this opportunity. Is this something you can help with? Or even just, can you answer my question so I know what I'm dealing with?
Yeah.
And even that, just as a resource. Yeah.
Bounce ideas off each other, and it's great. I love it. I love hearing from Craig, and anytime he and I get on a call, it's like we're on for an hour at least. Like we just it does, you know, it's just one of those relationships. But
and it's like we spoke yesterday, right? I mean, it's like, you know, it's we just pick up where we left off. It's fine.
Yep. Every time. But it really does come down to trust. And unfortunately, I think what happens with a lot of folks out there is, you know, and Fred, you touched on this with the exit part of it, like what you do professionally, what you experienced and then built your profession on in helping companies exit. And we touched on how we have this partner to partner relationship. And if one of us ever exited our business, would that transfer? Would that persevere? It isn't about Greenlight and Big Cloud. We know it's not. We know it's about Jason and Craig at the end of the day. But I also know that it's about Dave and Landi and Gerardo and Jackson and all the people on my team who I trust, and that trust transfers. Just like Craig knows that his team, Brant and everyone else, that he trusts, and all of that carries over. But at the end of the day, people work with people. It's not businesses working with businesses, right? If Craig picked up and, you know, did something else and went to work for a different technology company, we'd find a way to work together, because it's those relationships that matter. So relationships I have with the people that I get to work with every day, whether they're internal here at Greenlight or Port One, or partners like Craig and some others out there that
even clients.
It's those relationships that matter.
I had a client yesterday. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
I was going to say, I had a client yesterday who I hadn't talked to one of the contacts there in probably 6 months. She probably lives a couple hours from here, but over the years, we've developed a relationship. And so when she was on the phone yesterday with her boss and we were talking about an issue, you know, and she started with, "It's good to see you. I feel like we're friends." And I said, well, I feel that way too, because that's how I feel with our clients that I have relationships with, because we've built that trust. You know, and I like to hear that from the client, right? From the client standpoint, if the client thinks we're friends, then it's not a business strategy. It's just the way I work.
You know, in number of merger and acquisitions that I have been involved with, you know, the people who are coming to buy the business are asking, I want to make sure the employees are going to stay, because that's what makes the business. That's what makes, you know, the people make the business. I want to make sure that I can continue to have those employees who made you who you are right now. So that's really important. So let me ask this: which Microsoft technology solutions play the key role in this relationship, or this deal you had in Atlanta, for example?
So, I mean, in that particular deal, I would say, so on the Microsoft side, we have done the licensing part. And then Jason has done all the hardware and connection part.
Mm-hmm. You know, we've done the infrastructure and cybersecurity for that client. And Craig, you guys have done the really all the Microsoft 365, the licensing, the
Responsible for their CRM, their
even
SharePoint.
Dynamics, yeah, all of that. Yeah. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, and I think that's key. Like we do Microsoft, and Craig touched on this before. We'll do Microsoft licensing. We do 365. We know all that stuff really well. We're not as expert with SharePoint as Craig's team is at all, or Teams or any of that. Like they're really great at that. But we know a good amount for general purposes. But this was a client of Big Cloud, and so it went without saying. Although I'm sure we had a discussion about it, but it really went without saying. This is Big Cloud's client. They're bringing us in to work with them. I would never, and my team would never expect to try and win that licensing business or any of that. We would never even accept it because it's theirs to keep. It's their client, right? And we're here to help. And so even though we have this great client and this great relationship with the client, there's a piece of that relationship that belongs with Big Cloud, and that will always be there. So it's about having the trust and having those things figured out with those you work with already, because you want to avoid issues. And I think at the end of the day, you get to enjoy your job a lot more, and you get to be a lot better at it when you work with people that you like and that you trust.
Yeah.
And it's about communication, right? Mm-hmm. So if I mean, listen, we do security also, not to the level that Jason's company does, but we do security also. But, we don't want to be the people getting up at midnight when there's a problem. Mm-hmm. So, we decide how much of that and what size companies we're going to handle. This one, Jason's got it. I know that they're good, and I'm not worried about it. I'm not getting that call at midnight. Our center isn't getting it, right? And I know that, and Jason knows that that's his business, right? Exactly. We're not compromising on that. But the best part and the communication part is, if we're not sure, if they call, like we've had this happen where they'll email our support desk or they'll call, and we'll just say, nope, that goes to Greenlight. Hold on, we'll forward it, because we don't want the client to have to do it. We don't want the client to think. And to have to stop and think, well, where do I go for this? Or where do I go for this? Because the end users at this client, they're just trying to get their job done, right? And they're just repetitive, fast. They just want to get their job done. They don't want to know who to call for what. So whichever one of us they call, we know what we're doing, and we make sure the other one's involved when they need to be. Absolutely. I think that's even more of the trust factor.
Well, because we got to think of, what is a client buying? They're buying an outcome, right? And it's our job collectively to deliver that outcome. It's not two outcomes. Craig and I and our teams have one outcome we deliver to this client. We do it together, we do it separately, it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, whatever, we make sure there can't be gaps. Yeah. If there were gaps, it wouldn't work.
And there are times where, we'll call Jason's team or bring them in on a call for something, and they just don't bill it, or we won't bill them if they bring us in on a call, because, it's just, we need the client to get what the client needs.
Yeah.
It's just the right thing to do.
Yep.
Exactly. What advice do you give other IAMCP members to have a successful partnership like you guys have?
Find like-minded people that share the same values you do, and don't pretend like they do. Make sure they really do. Like, don't try to force relationships, but if you wouldn't trust that person with your family, don't work with them. They might be a client or a vendor, but a partner? No. Right? You got to find people that you would trust at that level. Would you trust them with your wife and your money?
That's right.
Wait, but you're not married.
Wait
a minute.
So yeah, I'll trust you with my wife all day.
Yeah.
That's right. Well, is there any other 5 or 6 figure deal out there that you guys are working on now, or maybe in the future? Maybe
Yeah,
7 figure?
sure.
Yeah, I have an
Hopefully.
8-figure deal we should be working on, Jason.
There you
No,
go.
I
All
mean,
right.
I think, you know what, the opportunity is always available with each other if the right opportunity presents itself,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
we're not gonna force it.
No, but if I, you know, if we have something where Jason fits, and like I said, there's sometimes I just call him to run an idea past him or say, hey, what do you think of this? And we may need some help here. It may come to nothing, right? Or it might come to something. Don't know.
Yeah.
But those conversations are worth it, you know, and the IAMCP, going back to that for a minute, I mean, someone a couple of years ago, just, I think they posted something or asked just in a conversation of, hey, I need someone to set up a server. And they just happened to say Fletcher, North Carolina. And I'm like, really, Fletcher? Because that's where I
I
am.
know where it is. Yeah.
And it was just, I mean, I live in that town, but it was just, it was just coincidence that, you know, and it was someone I knew. And I'm like, I'll take care of it, you know, and I just went and picked the machine up. They just needed it done. I was like, I can
That's
install
cool.
Windows Server. It's not a big deal, right? So,
That's-
but it
You know,
meant
when you
it,
say Fletcher, I'm sorry to jump in,
yeah,
but I have to say this because I used to live in Fletcher when there was only one grocery store called the Piggly Wiggly. Just one
here,
grocery
there's a
in
Piggly
Fletcher,
Wiggly
North
here.
Carolina. Yeah.
Oh,
I
really?
used to live there. Yeah.
Nope. Now it's
Right.
Ingalls, and we got a
Ingalls, yeah.
Publix
There
not
was
that
one
long ago.
Ingalls, yeah.
Yeah.
And one Piggly Wiggly. And now I'm sure it's grown. Sorry to
Yes,
jump
it
in. I
is.
had to say that.
Asheville keeps sprawling out further and further because Asheville gets more and more expensive, and so people just
Yeah.
keep moving further out. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Exactly. Well, let me ask you this. This is my last questions. I know you guys, I really appreciate your time. I know you guys are so busy being in service business. But what would you say to businesses considering to renew IMCP membership?
do it and pay more. I
Just
can
do
say
it?
that as the treasurer. Throw in extra money. No, I mean, I would say for me, it's worth its weight in gold, right? I actually
Yeah,
think that we're underpriced.
we
I
are.
think that, you know, between the conversations with Microsoft, Illuminate last year, which I thought was fantastic, and just knowing that the majority of people in the organization work the same way that we do, for me, it makes it worth it, right? I would keep renewing. So,
Yeah, 100%. I would say you're gonna get out of it what you put into it. So if you're gonna join and not join meetings, not get to know the people, not gonna get anything out of it. You
Yeah,
really aren't. But if you want to get some out of it, if you want to grow your business, if you want to expand, if you want to be better, if you want to make good friends and good colleagues, and you know, then you join it. You have conversations with people. You get to know people. You the more effort you put in, the more benefit you'll get. Period. I would say too, don't go into it trying to sell people on anything. Go into it to genuinely build relationships. Sure, make sure they know what you do and learn what they do, take an interest.
yeah,
But you get out of it what you put into it. And it's got to be from a genuine place of wanting to kind of build your network and build good relationships.
absolutely. Is a great return on investment. Like Craig was mentioning, is a very minimum investment, but the return is huge. And not only that, but they just getting to know other people, getting to network, opening, expanding your network. That's been a key factor for me
and
being a
just the
member.
fact that, I mean, you know, if I have a question about something, or I mean, it could be as simple as co-op dollars, right? Or something that, I mean, that I happen to know about, but you know, if whatever it is, just having someone else that I can call or someone else with a team of people who can pose a question, right? If you think about it, if I had to call a resource that was not on my team, I'd have to pay for that resource anyway.
Yeah.
So, one call to Jason to ask him a question where I'd normally pay $200 or $300 an hour anyway, and that covers my IAMCP membership.
Exactly.
And that's just that's one call.
Yeah.
Right? So I think the value is definitely there.
I think any MSP, any Microsoft partner, I don't know a reason why there would be any Microsoft partner or kind of adjacent professional, consultant to owner of a firm or head of sales or head of support or any of that. I don't know any reason why they wouldn't want to join and invest time into IAMCP, as long as there is a chapter that is going to be good for them. And I know there's some areas that are going to be stronger than others. I'm lucky to be in SoCal. We've got such a strong chapter here. I mean, that one, any MSP in Southern California or any of these Microsoft partners or anything in Southern California, I can't think of a reason why you wouldn't want to join and put a lot into it. There's just so much benefit that you get out of it. Yeah.
Exactly. Thank you again, Jason, Craig. Craig, we look forward to seeing you here in Orange County. There are plenty of authentic Mexican restaurants we can take you, and hopefully you can enjoy
Very true.
I was just there a couple of weeks ago. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So.
And would you believe it, Fred, that Craig didn't really care for In-N-Out?
Oh my goodness. Are you kidding me? Well, but there are a number of good burger places in Nashville, I'm sure.
Yes. And we were like, everyone talks about In-N-Out, and we went, and my kids had never been to California. So, we went and they were like, this is it? We're like, this is it. It was okay.
Yeah. I know. Do you guys have Rush's in Asheville? Rush's Burger. It used to be really good in Colombia.
We have Five Guys.
It's still good. Right. Yeah. Five Guys. Yeah.
That's always good. Yeah.
It's gotten expensive, but good.
They are pricey. Yeah.
But but everything's pricey nowadays, and so it's like, besides, you guys are in California, it was like when we used to live in New York and we would go to Disney World and people would complain about the prices of food, and we'd be like, coming from New York, this isn't so bad.
Not too bad. Yeah. Exactly.
It's all relative. Yeah.
Yes.
But thank you again. I appreciate that. We'll let you go, and thank you for your time. Have a great day.